Okay, I looked yesterday for the elephant. I looked yesterday to, I showed one thing when I was working. No one had any jokes.
Nobody, I know. I also listen to some. There's nothing.
Nothing to,
That's right.
jokes.
No, they don't make jokes.
I'm working with once in a while.
Okay, so we are up to. We are up to. We'll go back to Taner Rabbanim. Taner Rabbanim. Asir Nixi and Asir Pumbi. Somebody who has assets. Sorry. Somebody who has assets that are very visible to everybody. Who Bal Hagadis. That's compared to someone who could say Torah on Inyone Haggadah because it's easy to do. I'm sorry? We did it already. Yeah, we did this already. Yeah. Atir Sloim, Atir Takua. If somebody has properties that bring in a steady income, that's compared to a Baal Pilpul because he has to know in each sugya to be able to say divrei lamdus. Monkuf mem haman base, and atir moshach, atir kamas, meaning somebody who has wealth, but it's in a hidden state, like in a warehouse, and from time to time he sells out. Zo bal shmois, that's a bal halacha, because he has to learn and learn and learn, but save it for the time where he will be asked the question halacha, so he should have the right answer. You know what's the universal requirement for everybody? Everybody needs the one who cultivates and owns wheat, Gemara, because that's what Gemara is compared to. Marshal says Gemara needs seichel and chitin creates seichel. So that's why the Gemara is referred to as chitin. Amar b'zer amarav, my dichsiv. It says in the pasuk, Kol yimei ani roim. All the days of the life of an ani are bad. That's referring to Zebal Talmud. And the Rishbam explains because he's always hurrying to try to understand the difficulties in the steers and mishnayis and try to understand the sugyas. Hard work. But for toiv leiv mishnah tamid, a good heart is someone who's partying all the time. Zebal mishnah, because learning mishnayis isn't so stressful; it's blissful. Rava Amar exactly the opposite. The one who learns the Mishnah doesn't know the answers, but the one who learns the Gemara does. As the Rishbam says, he can't paskin anything from the Mishnahs that he learns. And when he finds a paradox in a Mishnah, he can answer it. But for Toiv Zebal Talmud, Ideya Mishnais al Ikram Ubaki B'Tameya, because he truly understands them. And since he knows Gemara and he knows how to forever the steers in the Mishnayos, which bring out important halachas, he's able to paskin halacha. Zok the Gemara weiter. The Hanyud Amar Rav Masharsha Mishmei de Rav. This is what Rav Masharsha said in the name of Rav. My dichsiv, it says in the pasuk, Masiya Avonim, someone who's quarrying rocks, he'll always be sad with it, he'll always have trouble. But someone who's chopping wood, Yisakim will be warmed by them. Masiya Avonim Yatzaben Elubal Mishnah, because he's taking the hard Mishnahs, not understanding them, and therefore not benefiting from them, so he only hard the difficulty. But someone who's chopping wood will be warmed with the wood. Elu Bale Talmud. Rishbam says, "Yatzu Loshem B'itzvin Zebal Mishnah Sheshina Mishnayis Kol Hayom." He learns Mishnayis all day. Vein Lo Yalatzar. All he gets from it is pain. You know why? Shem Miskashe B'Taimehem. He doesn't understand the Mishnayis. Vein Yidel Lefarish. Okay, so that's referring to the Rav Amar Ibcha, because Rav said that the life of someone who learns Gemara is easier and better because he understands the steers, but the life of someone who learns Mishnah is difficult, so that's comparable to what Rav said of Masiya Avonim Yatabem, but Kay Eitzem Yisakim. Gewaltig. Zogt Gemara weiter. Rab Chanina Amar Kol Yimei Ani Royim, you know what that is? Zeh sheyesh lo isha ra. Someone who has a bad wife, all of his life is miserable. As I say, a happy wife is a happy life. You don't have a good wife, it's a bitter. The toiv leiv mishte tomid zeh sheyesh lo isha toiv. That's what's a good wife. Rabbi Yana said, Kol Yimei Ani Royim zeh istnis. That's referring to an istnis because he's always bothered by everything. Everything's echi, ui, ugh. So he's never comfortable. But toiv leiv mishte tomid zeh shadati yofer. That's someone who can handle a little bit rough it. And therefore he can enjoy life better.
And there's a pet. And I think these are the last we're talking about.
Toiv leiv mishte tomid. Of Shulchan Aruch or oh, okay, fine.
Maybe I'm wrong. You looked at
Yeah, it's the end of Hilchos Purim, which would make sense. Okay.
I heard what I'm saying. They're talking about that someone who knows who learns it. So Mr. Thomas, you don't have to wait. You don't have to ask. You don't have to ask over
When you have it available to you.
You know how to.
Very nice.
You know how to. You have to wait. Look or after.
You know the answers.
You know the
Very interesting. Very nice. The Zok to Gemara.
I was once someone. I was my wife asked a guy who drove this. He said, "Who says I need a road?"
Ooh.
So whoa. So what's up? What do you do when you have a shot? First I look up my shofar.
Yeah, I hear. Okay, Zok to Gemara weiter. Someone who's very merciful, he's always sad because every little story that he hears about every person cries. Every Mishulach letter he reads, he cries. It makes him have a difficult life. Sorry. Someone who's achzer, he has it easy because nothing bothers him. This is somebody who is a high-strung matbit on everything. The captain. Any little thing that goes wrong, he's upset about. If something costs him too much money, if he has an issue, he's upset. Somebody else has an issue, he's upset. That's something that's a good. It's good, the typical example of daite ksar versus daite rach was the famous story about a guy who's waiting in the pouring rain, right? And he's desperate that someone should stop and give him a ride. And someone pulls up with a Toyota Camry, a nice new one. He rolls his window down. He says, "Can I offer you a ride? I see you're soaking in the rain." So sure. As he's about to get into the door, as he's about to open the passenger door, the driver locks it and says, "Entschuldigung, das ist mein Schwager's car. And you'll make it muddy. Better I shouldn't take you." So the poor guy stuck there in the rain. A couple of minutes later, the sweet Cadillac Escalade pulls up. See the sheet, rolls his window down, and says, "Come on, come into the car." So the guy says, "I'm a little bit uncomfortable. I don't want to make your car dirty." "Don't worry about it. It's my brother-in-law's car." So that's the difference. The dice are rough below. Okay, Zok to Gemara weiter. Kol Yemei Ani Royim. What are you talking about? What do you mean every day of the Ani's life is bad? Even though all week long the Ani might starve, but on Shabbos everybody has, because the Tamchai gives out to the Aniyim, so everybody has Basra v'yayin. So why would you say every day is bad? Shabbos is good. If someone starts eating foods that are out of the ordinary for him, or changes his schedule, it causes your stomach to be upset. We all know if you have to get up 4 a.m. because we have a flight to catch, it ends up making you feel uncomfortable. If someone's eating in a way he doesn't normally eat. So even on Shabbos, the Ani is suffering from Cholim Ayim. It says in Sefer Ben Sira. Ben Sira was someone who was not Chachmei HaTorah. There are those who hold that you're not even allowed to learn the Sefer. But it says, Kol Yemei Ani Royim. All the days of an Ani are bad. And that's what Shlomo HaMelech said. Ben Sira added to it, Ben Sira Ma'af Leilos, even the night of an Ani is bad. Why? Because his house will typically be at the bottom of the hill. The wealthy people, their homes will be on top of the hill. And therefore, if it's raining, the gutters from all the upper houses are going to rain on him, meaning he'll always have noise, the noise of to falling rain on this roof. Bishval Gagim Gago, he has the lowest roof, so all of the runoff from all of the upper levels runs onto his roof. That makes it uncomfortable. On the other hand, but where is the best place to plant? Not at the top of the hill, at the bottom of the hill. You know why? Because there's silt. As it rains, the mud and the soil runs off and runs down. So the guy on the top, his soil is always being degraded because it's always running down. The guy on the bottom is always getting free topsoil because it's running down from the top of the mountain. The wealthy person, the poor person has his kerem at the top of the mountain, may offer karmoi lekramim. And therefore, the earth from his kerem goes down to the lower people. So he has it bad by day and he has it bad by night. Okay, now we're going to get into the petty discussion of getting presents back that are given from a chas and kala. So now that we know that you have to have a spreadsheet when you go to a wedding to figure out how much money you're going to give as a gift, now we're going to see if you're the chassan himself, how can you get your money back? Someone who sent gifts to his father-in-law's house, and the Rishbam tells us that minik chasanim, it was the minik of the chasan la'achar kedushin, right after they made the kedushin, after the engagement, so to speak, l'machra shelech lebeis chamov l'kavod ishtoi, the day after he would send in the honor of his wife, tachshitein, jewelry, umine peiris and fruits, v'chad yayin, v'chad shemen, and wine and oil. And sometimes he'll stay for breakfast before he leaves town the next morning back to Lakewood. So that's how it used to work. So what happens if Shalach Sham Meyamona, he sent a huge amount of gifts, and the next day V'achal Sham Sudas Chasan Afila b'dinner, he ate a tiny little bit of food. Because of that, it's like he reciprocated. Ein nigvin, he doesn't get to collect any back if he breaks the shidduch. Zok to Rashbam, imesu oisha mesahi, if for whatever reason the shidduch broke off, whether he died or she died, oisha chazer boy, or he had second thoughts, and he wants to divorce her, he doesn't get anything back. Why? Shemach maschibas simchas achila she'achal v'shasa v'simach imaen machal sevloinos hasuyin libolos. Some of the gifts last, jewelry, they stay forever. But then there's certain things he gave them that will end up rotting and disintegrating, such as the food. So all of the food that he gave her, he's moichler when he can sit with her and party together a little bit, through that little hana that he had from being mesamech with her and her in-laws family, through that he's moichel any sevloinus that are asui libolis, that would end up spoiling anyway. I'm sorry?
He doesn't want to stay.
That's right. That's a good point. But things that are durable goods, hadri, they go back regardless, even if he decided he doesn't want to go through with the marriage. Even though he ate with them. So he's only moichel the things that are asun libolos, but he's not moichel the durable goods. We're speaking about where he didn't tell you specifically what he wants you to do with the Sivlonis, he just gave them. Because the Lakamon, the next half of the Mishnah makes a distinction, Maflik b'Sivlonis shesholach kedei sheyavoy ima leveis baila. There are certain gifts that he gives her that he expects her to bring into the marriage. If he's buying her a KitchenAid, and if he's buying her all the house utensils, clearly the intent with those gifts are they're going to be gifts for their household. There's some gifts that he wants her to enjoy now, like the fruit. The gifts that are there for the household, those for sure he gets back. The question merely are about the gifts that he gave to the in-laws family for them to use while she's engaged. That's what he was referring to, where he might be moichel because he partied with them. Since the Sefer of the Mishnah makes a distinction between what type of savlonis they are, the Reisha must be speaking by stam savlonis, v'hanu tluim b'sudas chasen, and the stam savlonis are totally in the sudas chasen im achlim and mechulin v'melav nigvin, he can collect it back. So Zok the Mishnah Vayter. Shalach Sivloinois Meruvin with the intent Sheyachzru Imal Beis Baila. And the Rishbam says Shalach Sivloinois Meruvin Upirish Kidei Sheyavoyu Imal Beis Baila. He specifically said that these are not for my in-laws, these are for my household. What in what? It's Lav Dav Kamerubin, even if it was few, Im Shochan Lakach, if he sent it specifically for his own household. If he said a lot of things, if he gave her a lot of things, typically his intention would be is that's just to start what he needs for his household. And if you just send a little bit, usually it would mean you just send them little gifts for them to use now. But of course, it means he specified what the purpose of these goods were for. So if it's Merubin, Shiach Shrimil based by La Rail Nigvin. So Vladinis Muatan should establish better base of Via, a Nigvin. And a Nigvin means if he partied with them. Amarava Dafka dinner, Avalpachas me dinner loy. It said that if he came to dinner and he enjoyed it with them, then he's Moichalus of Loinis. What if he ate less than the dinner? What if he ate very, very little? It's mashma that he could still collect his Savloinis. Take more pshita. Dinner tnan. No, it's a chiddush. You might have thought that it's a lav dafka, even just a little bit. Dinner or and the Rishbam speaks out like we learned on Amud Beis. The minimum that a guy would eat by a chasna was a zuz, was a dinner, right? So we learned you can for sure take that off the gift. Kamach malam dafka dinner ochaltnan shosamai. What if he didn't eat anything by his in-laws, but he drank? Would that be enough that he's Merchalus of Loinis? Hutnan. It says he drank by his shver. Shluchemai. What if he didn't deliver the gifts? What if he sent a friend and the friend ate? Is that also going to trigger a mechila of the Savloinas? Okay. Shomtnan. He ate it where? In his in-laws' household. Sugar loimai. What if he didn't go to his shver's house, but the shver sent to him some l'chaim? So all these cases, Tashma, the Amar Bidu Amar Shmuel, Mais about the Mechot Sheshagar Leveitz Chamav, Meya Keroinois, 100 wagon loads, Shel Kadei Shemen, Shel Kadei Yayin, Shel Kadei Shemen, jugs of wine and jugs of oil, Vishal Kli Kesef, Vishal Kli Zov, and silver and gold and kalim, Vishal Kli Milas. I think Milas is silk. What does Milas mean? Fine wools. V'rochav b'simchasoi, and
surprised no one took this on.
huh?
I'm surprised no one took this minute on.
The Shver sends it to the Eden now. The times have changed. V'rochav b'simchasoi, and he rode in the simcha. V'halach, is that mean, or was v'rochav a type of keli?
No, I think he means that he rode, but he was related.
I'm sorry.
I think he said he was on a high.
So he floated. He floated in his joy.
Very good about that.
He was flying high. V'halach v'omad. I mean, this looks like a disaster waiting to happen, if you ask me. When you overdo it, it's a disaster waiting to happen. V'rachav v'simchasai v'halach v'omad al Pesach beis Chamav, and he came to the doorway of his shver's house, but he didn't go in. They brought him out a tea. The shas, and he drank it.
Wine.
What?
It was wine.
It was warm wine. That's like Motzi and Kippur Abdullah. That's like Motzi and Kippur Abdullah.
He's about to get into.
He probably had a driver. But you're right. But miss.
No.
Now he didn't necessarily die right away, but he died before the Nusuin. I think there's trouble. It doesn't mean he dropped dead right there on the spot. But he did die. Let's see. I think Teresh Spouse speaks it out.
But the point is, he didn't even go inside.
Right. The point, he did not go in. He did not go in. So that what's going to be the halacha? So Zok to Gemara. Umeis. V'zu halacha heler abacha Sarah bir lefnei chachamim leusha. They brought this to the best in Usha. Remember they said, "Sevloinoi sa'asuyin libalois enigman." Whatever he gave them that was going to get spoiled, he cannot get the family. The family can't get him back because what he ate over there was enough. But the durable goods, nigvid, the family can get back. So Shemamina, what do you see from here? Afilu shasa, even if he only drank, because it says he just drank chametz. Shemamina afilu pachas with dinner, because what he drank was not even worth a dinner. Omer Vashi, who said, Man le malon, deloy sachki le marganisa the shavya alfazuz vashke. In those days, they would grind gems and they would put the dust into the drink, and people would drink it. They felt it was healthy. What's that called? Stardust? They're called stardust? Gold dust. No, I don't mean gold. I mean stardust that the fictional cartoon carriers spray on you. So maybe what he drank was a coffee with gold in it, and or a coffee with or coffee with a diamond in it.
He gave him the 30-year runway.
Okay. Ashke, and he drank it. Maybe it was Blue Label. Okay. So therefore, you don't have a raya that if it's even pachas midin. Shmas mina afilu shigruloi. You see, even if he didn't eat this in his in-laws' house, but they sent it out to him, you see, you have a raya that also counts. So we know. Dilma called Pesach beis chamav k'beis chamav dam. He's right out there on the doorstep. That's not our shaila. Our shaila is what if they sent it to his house and he drank it in his house? But eating it on his shver's porch, maybe that's good enough. Eating it in his shver's porch might be good enough. Porch? Okay. Now, am I missing something, or does the Gemara not discuss pachs with dinner? So, or the Gemara. So you have a ride that drinking is for sure good. So drinking you for sure have a ride, right? Unless it's a chunky type of wine. Unless he's okay. Ibaylahu. Mayu shayishlash tvach savloinis. Or she is shalem shvach savloinis, depending on the girsa. Do you get back shvach savloinis? So he gave a gift, and these gifts were returnable, but they improved, they got better. So who gets the benefit of the increase in value of the savloinis when they were by the Kala's house? Now, do you say given the isnu ledidei adri? If they're there, he gets them back. Therefore, b'shusei shavuach, we say that they went up in value in the reshus of the chassan. The chassan gets to keep that benefit. Adoma given the avdi or mignavi, since if they would get lost or stolen, the Kala's family would be a charoyu to replace them. Boyu shlumale. So therefore, b'shus didash shavuach, since they're mechuyev 19, they have a responsibility to give it back. So they have a kedin in it, and therefore they benefit from it. The Gemara says take. What if it was like fruits and vegetables that would have went bad, but they didn't go bad yet? Can you get those back as well? So the case is where he gave them these types of gifts, and then he came. He didn't eat with them. Since he didn't eat with them and didn't party with them, he's entitled to get them back. So we know he's only entitled to get back the savloinis that are durable, not the savloinis that rot. But what if these ones that were typically they would degrade, but they didn't? So does he get those back as well? Tashma. Another child that was asked to the Chacham Menusha, one where they said, savloinis ha'asuin libalois ein nigvin, v'she'ein asuin libalois nigvin. So zog to Gemara, if it's asuin libalois, it's ein nigvin. That's a hard and fast rule. My love, afal gav, deloy bolu. Even if they did not deteriorate, but they were sivloinois or asuin libalois, the chassan doesn't get them back. Zog to Gemara, you don't have to be medayik that way. You'll say it's the volo when the Chacham and Menush said sivloinos or asuin libalois ein nigvin, they meant and they taka deteriorated. But if they didn't deteriorate, we still have our shaila. Maybe they would go back to the chos. Toshma, let's look at the end of our mission. Sivloinos mu'atin sheteshtamish ben vibevei sevilla a nigvin. The smaller gifts that she's supposed to enjoy when she's in her father's household, those he doesn't get back. So those are clearly referring to items that could have been bolu, but were not bolu. So you have a raya from here. That such savloinos, even if they're around, he doesn't get back. As the Rashbam says, Tashma savloinos mu'at sh'tishamish v'vivei savia The first psak that we got from the Bezdin Lusha, Kivan the Katani Asuin Libolois, since they said if it's Asuin Libolis, it does not go back. Motus Lukma the Bolu, we can say they were referring to gifts that actually did deteriorate. But when you're looking at the Mishnah's psak, Milso the Psika Katani, the Mishnah says a very conclusive psak. Shetishtamish bahen b'veisavia. Anything that's designed for her to benefit and enjoy b'veisavia, that means it won't last too long. And it says afabi sheyesh ben. The Mishnah doesn't say if it's ben or not. The Mishnah, anything that's designed for her to use b'veisavia, that she gets to keep. So therefore, you have a raya that even if it's loy balu, it will not go back to the chassan. So Gemara, Tirgama Rava, V'yaiva v'savachta, which are very small, insignificant things, and those things, even though they're around, he's moichel. Meaning to even be sure noshim, shein dvar mu'ut u'machalu l'gamri. Loish na bolu v'loish na bolu. V'loish na loy bolu. But if it was jewelry and more expensive things, tiboyla, that's where our shaila is. So that shaila was not answered either. Amar Abiyudah Marav. There was a story about the Mechad Sheshigel Beis Chama B'Yayin Chodosh, V'Shemen Chodosh, U'Klei Pishton Chodosh, Batzeres. That's the end of the story. There's a story with someone said this. What do I need to see from the story? It wasn't even like a Shaila Lalocha. So what exactly are we trying to learn from a story about a guy who said this Batzeres? Ma'kamash Ulon. So tomorrow, you know what? You know why this story could have been related? You know why Rabbi Yehuda Amarav is saying the story over? Normally, the Paris are not ready Shavuos time. The Chag HaOsef is Sukkot time. But it's showing you that Eretz Yisrael is such a wonderful land that you can even have wine, and you can even have oil and pishton. You can even have that harvested by Shavuos time, which is not typical at all. Normally, it takes throughout the summer. But here you had all these fresh produce that was matured even by Shavuos time. So it's not even telling you Allah of Chos and Kala, it's just telling you how wonderful Eretz Yisrael is. The Toyin Tanose Taina. What if the Shidduch falls apart and now he's taking the Kala side to Bezdin? I want these things back. And he says, I want the Pishtan Chodosh and the Yain Chodosh that I gave you Shavuos time. So the Kala side will say, you're absolutely nonsense. There's no such thing. It's impossible that you could have given us Yain Chodosh Shavuos time. Everybody knows Yain Chodesh is not ready yet. Kamash Milan, that he could say, no, it's in Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, it's possible that this could have happened. Amar Avidu Amarav. His wife told him, not his wife told him, it was told him about his wife that she's a tutranisi, that she could not smell. She lost her sense of smell. She had COVID. She lost her sense of smell. So he wanted to test to see if she had a sense of smell. Because if she didn't, he wouldn't want to marry her because there's a problem with her. This is called a mum that's not Shabbagali. It's a mum, but it's not a mum Shabbagali. He went after her into a house that's a ruined house. Basically, we're going to see the relevance of churva is the fact that there would be yichud occurring in the churva because no one is typically there. Laboikin, he wanted to test her if she knew how to smell. So what did he do? Amr Allah, he told her, I could smell the smell of fresh radish. And we're going to see it was a shayla if he said reach tzenoin, or if he said the reach of a geshmaka date. Amra, she responded in a mocking fashion to show, I know what you're trying to do. I got your secret. Amr Allah, she told him, who is going to give us from the delicious dates of Yerichai that we'll be able to eat it together with the tznoin? Because it was known since the dates are very sweet and the tznoin is sharp, it was a very good combination to eat them together. That's one version. And if you're Gairis, that he originally told her that I have kesavos, then she was saying about how the wonderful kesavos of Yerichai are good. But the response says it was derech schoik. She was trying to say, I know what you're talking about. She chapped what was going on. Therefore, she answered him in such a fashion. In other words, I know what you're after. And then you know what happened? Right after that happened, Nafal Allah Chorva. The building collapsed, Umes, and she died. So now the question is, he wants the Yarshaner. He wants the Yarshaner because a Baal is yours as Ishtai. But the question is he married to her or not? Because you see, it was his marriage was under speculation. So Amru Chachamim, the Chum said, since he only followed her in to be Baidaker, we don't consider that he could Yarshin her, his marriage isn't complete, Mesa in a Yarshin. Now, what exactly was the scenario here is a very big machloikis, the Rashbam and Tosfos. So the Rashbam says, the husband came in from the Bezdin, but you're right to learn, he wanted to Yarshin his wife. The Chum told him, he wasn't going to do yichud with her, so there might have been erison, but there was no nesuin, and he wasn't going to be ba'ala to make the nesuin. His intent was to check her out and maybe chuck her out. Umesa b'soich kach, and she died in that period of time before he got that clarification in the Yarsha. Is the garsi hachi umukilo barus. There are those who learned that this is speaking about it, she's an arusa already. She's already an arusa, and he still doesn't Yarshin her. V'loy nehirli. Zakir Shom, I don't like this track. Dafilu ba'aleh v'mei erison koydem achnasas l'chuppah l'yarisla. Even if he was already ba'aleh, but there was no chuppah yet, he doesn't Yarshin her. The Yerusha, he's not zoicha to the Yerusha of his wife at the erison, at the kedushin. He's zoicha to the Yerusha of his wife only once she's on the suah. Kedetani chanan bar ami ishtoy arusa le'oinin mesa ena Yarsha. I'm skipping a couple of lines. It must be speaking that this was already an Isha Nesua, meaning he was his wife, fair and square fully. And he was thinking maybe he's going to divorce her. You know why? If a man already decided that he wants to divorce his wife, and while he was still deciding whether or not he's planning to divorce his wife, so that's a huge chiddush. What if there was a person who was having shalom bayis problems, and his wife died before they worked out those shalom bayis problems? A man will not be, if a guy is having shalom bayis problems and he divorces his wife, he does not yarshin her in that period of time. He didn't divorce her. He's married to her. He didn't divorce her. He's thinking about divorcing her. He doesn't have the Yerusha. So therefore, it's very important that he keeps the shalom bayis problems private, because then when she dies, her family won't want to give him her Yerusha, assuming that she gave him a wealthy home. However, Tosfos learns differently. Lav Rayi could appreciate Shari Lav Nesuya. Tosfos learns that it's not like the way the Rashbam learns that she was already a Nesua. Tosfos learned in our case she was an Arusa and she didn't know if he wanted to go through with the Nesuin. That's where you say he doesn't Yarshin if she dies because they were Arusa, not a Nesua. Rashi learned Rashbam learns even if she was a Nesua. Savloinus Muatim should Shamish Bebesavia. Yosef Rabin Saba, Kameder Papa, but Yosef Ikam. Bain Shemei. It doesn't matter if she died. Ubain Shemei Su. Doesn't make a difference. Hadar, even if he backed out and he decided he doesn't want to marry her anymore, Savloinois Hadri, he'll get back to Savloinois, but the Michael Mishnah, the food that he gives her, Loy Hadar. Hadra Ba'i, if she backs out, then Hadra Afilu Kisha the Yaka, every little vegetable, any tiny little thing that he gave them, he's entitled to back. Let's say he gives them $1,000 worth of food, right? And they're eating it, they're parting it because they got it as a gift. Now suddenly the family learns that the wife backs out, so they have to pay it back. Well, they don't have that $1,000 to pay back. They're a lot of money. So they'll say, listen, we would have never bought these types of luxurious food. We would have eaten food that was cheaper. We wouldn't spend so much money. So the halach is they only have to pay back food that they would have eaten. That's called Basra Bazul, which is a 30% discount. So So if we took $1,000 worth of food, we have to pay back, but with a 30% discount, because we only have to pay back what we benefited. We would have had to eat, but we would never have eaten such expensive food. Zok more weiter. Shchiv Mera shekosov kol nechosov lacher. Shchiv Mera wrote over all his nechosim. And the response not only wrote, even if he said it, because we know that the tzavah Shchiv Mera is ksum dami, but v'shayer karka kosher. But he didn't give all of nechosim away. He kept some to himself. There, it shows that he's not just doing it machmas misa. And in this case, there had to have been a kinyan, and it shows it wasn't machmas misa, because if it was machmas misa, he would have given everything away. The fact that he kept them for himself shows that he wants this matana to be kayim even if he survives. Therefore, matanasa kayim is even if he gets better. But loy shayar kalka koshu, if he gave everything away, then even with the kinyan, ein matanasa kayemes, if he becomes healthy, if he recovers, because clearly he only gave it away under the assumption that he was not going to need it anymore. Our Mishnah just says, even if he doesn't speak out, I'm only giving it away because I think I'm dying, but the mere fact that he gave everything away is proof positive that that's what he must have meant, and therefore we paskin that if he recovers, he doesn't have to give the property away. Where do you get that from? Rab Nachman, it's Rab Shimon ben Menashe, it's the sheet of Rab Shimon ben Menashe. The Tanya we learned, we had this Gemara before. His son traveled far away, and he found out that his son died, and because of that, he knows his son's not going to yarshin him, so he had to find somebody to give his Yerusha to. And then the son came back, but he already gave away all of his assets. He can't back up. We have an umdana that he surely wouldn't have given it away if it wasn't for the fact that he knew that his son died. Had he known? So Reb Shimon ben Menashe is the one who holds you make an umdana. Sure, he didn't make a t'nai when he gave it away, but it's obvious that he only gave it away because he didn't realize his son was alive. Therefore, we act on that and we say it's bottle. That's what our Mishnah holds. Reb Sheshes Amar Reb Shimon Shazuri, the shita of Reb Shimon Shazuri, the Tanya we learned. They used to say someone was was being taken out to be killed, so he was in shackles. And he said kisu get liishti, but he didn't say kisu utenu get liishti, which is the proper syntax if he wants to be Megarsh's wife. You could still do it. You know why? Because when someone's being taken out to be killed, he's probably not with a sound mind. We know for sure he wanted to give his wife again. He just didn't say it properly because he was a little bit mavul. Then they even added, if someone's in a rush to leave on a business trip, he might also be mavul and not say tenu. He will just say kisvu, and we take it to mean kisvu. Even if he is not healthy, and he says kisvu because he doesn't want his wife to have to follow ibum, that's also an umdin. So you see, Reb Shimon Shazuri has a similar shita to Reb Shimon ben Menashe that you make an umdin. That's right. So the Shram speaks out. You see, all three shitas show the umdina. Reb Shimon Shazuri is adding even the slightest umdina. The reason why we call it Reb Shimon Shazuri because he's the only name there, but it's referring to that whole concept. Reb Nachman, my time alamukum look Reb Shimon Shazuri. Why did Reb Nachman pick Reb Shimon ben Menashe? Why didn't he say Reb Shimon Shazuri? Because maybe there it's different. Shiny Yosam, Damar Kisvu. He said Kisvu. So it's not Saman Umdana. He actually said, I want to give my wife a get. He didn't use the proper syntax and fully articulate what he wanted to say, but there's already a base with which to work. So therefore, maybe there it works. So you don't have a right to our Mishnah. Rab Sheshem, my time, Rab Shimon ben Menashe, because Umdana the Muchach shiny. The case of Rab Shimon ben Menashe is a mamish and Umdana the Muchach, because he only gave it away after he heard that his son died. So that's much more of a muchach umdana than our umdana, where he said something. Nothing happened before he gave the matana. He was weakening, and then he gave the matana away. But if first someone told him your son died, and that triggered that he should give the matana away, that's a much bigger umdana the muchach, and therefore you don't have a right to our case. As the Rashbam says, umdana the muchach shani calls man so ibnai kaim loy nasan acha shama shameis. Avol chayla in our Mishnah. Even the Rav Chayil L'chaim, most sick people do recover. And he didn't say I'm doing the machmas misa. It's a weaker umdin the muchach, so therefore we need Reb Shimon Shazuri to support that. Zakmar man Tana laha the Tana Rabban. Who would be the Tana of the following anonymous Mishnah? Haresha haya chayil. Someone was sick. Umutal b'mita. And they asked him, who should we give your nechazim to? And he said, Doimani, I'm under the impression she actually ben. I used to think that I had a son. Achshav, he just found out, ben, now that I found that Rahman I lost my son, I want to give it to Pliny. And therefore I have heir. But now that my wife died, and it turned out that he actually had a child, unbeknownst, the child didn't die, and the wife was muberes. Ein matanos matan. Zok the Gemara, Leimar Reb Shimon ben Nasi, v'lo Rabbanan. It should be going according to Reb Shimon ben Nasi. Why? Because Reb Shimon ben Nasi is the one who holds of this umdana. Zok the Gemara, no, Afilu Tema Rabbanan. Even the Rabbanan would be bought in this case because he spoke out the fairish. Doimish actually bad. He spoke out the fairish like a Tanai. I'm only giving it away because I lost my son. Doimish shiny. You're right. So why was there even a havamina to suggest that this is going like Reb Shimon ben Nasi? He wasn't making it now. He was saying, and then he gave it away, but he wasn't trying to indicate that that's why he's giving it away. No, he's only giving it away because he thinks that he does not have a child. Okay, we'll stop here and we will be mamshuk tomorrow.